Ah, yes. Welcome into another edition of College Hockey Now with former Stony Brook netminder Brendan Jones. I'm Jorge Andres. In today's episode, we take a look back at the year in the Hockey East, a phenomenal conference, Jonesy, that sent 6 teams into the national tournament.
Yeah, 5 were locks according to the pairwise rankings, but then there was that one, the Northeastern Huskies, who put together one of the best second halves of college hockey history. They were the Cinderella in this year's Big Dance.
All right, let's take a look at the final conference standings. Boston College and Providence finishing atop the board with 35 points apiece, but BC ended with just 2 conference losses compared to the Friars' 3 losses. Notre Dame, UMass Lowell, BU, and Northeastern round out the top 6 teams. Merrimack, UConn, Vermont, and New Hampshire fall 7 through 10 respectively, and Maine and UMass finished at the bottom of the conference. Sending 6 teams to the NCAA tournament is no easy feat, but for the Hockey East, it has become a custom. But how is this conference such a powerhouse year in and year out? Well, that's why we have Professor Jonesy to drop the knowledge in these breaks down.
You know, Jorge, almost every time I talk to coaches, they mention that they have to do the little things better. So let's talk about some of those little things right now within Hockey East. First up, the Northeastern Huskies. Nolan Stevens turns the puck over. Don't forget that name. Zach Aston-Reese is above the puck. It enables him to get back on the back check. Now we freeze it here. The Minutemen hit the trailer, but look, we stay with Nolan Stevens as he gets back. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Northeastern Huskies. Phenomenal gap above the circles. Matt Benning, Nolan Stevens collapse on that puck. All zones of the ice are covered. Northeastern started to figure it out in the second half of the season. They really started to lock it down defensively. You see on the replay, all 5 of them get back. They're able to turn the puck over and generate some offensive scoring chances. Over to Boston College, where these kids score so many goals. This is why. Look at Casey Fitzgerald. He knows where Colin White is going to go. He's going to lay that puck into space, allow Colin White to skate into it on the power play and bury that one. They see layers. They're playing chess out there. They know what they're doing. Unnoticed, Alex Tuck in front of the net ties up his man, allows that puck to get through. Now over to their opponent, the Boston University Terriers. They win faceoffs, which is phenomenal. Not too many people know that, but look as they get through the neutral zone. This little bumper pass, a clean zone entry, something they focus on. Antioxidant's first option isn't there. He hits the trailer. Jacob Forsbacka-Carlson leaves so much room for himself, skates into that one, fires it past Demko. That little bumper pass, the clean zone entry, allows BU to score so many goals. Jorge?
Fantastic. All right, still to come. It's face-off time as national champion Colby Cohen goes head-to-head with our own Brendan Jones as we continue to break down the Hockey East.
Welcome back to College Hockey Now, Hockey East Rewind. We are pleased to be joined by Hockey East Commissioner Joe Bertagna. And Commissioner, let's get right to it. 6 teams from Hockey East in the tournament this year. What does that mean to you and the conference?
Well, we're obviously proud of it. We like to claim among our strengths of the depth from top to bottom. We have teams at the top that carry our banner very well. This year we didn't bring home a championship. Last year we had the 2 finalists. But in terms of how tough it is night after night in Hockey East, I think the 6 teams is a good indicator of what we're about.
Now with good teams comes good players, obviously, and some undoubtedly pro-ready. So much so that they leave school early to pursue their professional career. Now, where do you stand on players leaving early?
Well, you know, it's a double-edged sword. You know, we're proud that we get those players, that they want to choose our teams. Mm-hmm. But what comes with that is what Boston College is experiencing since the end of the regular season or end of the tournament, where 5 or 6 underclassmen have decided to leave. So it's tough on the coaches. They have to, you know, recruit them once and then kind of recruit them a second time to retain them.
Right.
I guess the spin would be it's a good sign that we're getting those players, but I happen to have my own thoughts on some of these guys not really helping themselves by leaving early. Mm-hmm. You know, every once in a while you have a Jack Eichel or a Noah Hannafin that clearly they're ready because they go right from our college game to the NHL. A lot of these players that have left this season will probably be minor league players next year and maybe a year after. So I don't think it's ever hurt a player to stay an extra year. It makes it easier for them to go back and get their degree, and it makes them a little bit more prepared when they step on the professional ice.
Yeah, and college hockey is all about development. Now, I want to talk to you about a position that you're very, very familiar with, goaltending. It's been an incredible year between the pipes throughout the conference. What was it about these goaltenders like Demko and like And Boyle over at Lowell, what is about them that makes them so good?
Each one's a different story. I mean, Demko is a interesting case. He's a 6'5", 6', whatever he is, athlete from Southern California, from San Diego. He's got his mother was an athlete. His aunt was an athlete. I met the family. He's been kind of groomed for this. Boyle's story is interesting. That he went to the University of Massachusetts, ended up transferring to UMass Lowell, and had an exceptional year. And they became our co-players of the year. One of the things I'm always amazed at when we do our monthly honors and you look at who's the goalie of the month, one guy after another with 947 save percentage and 1.2 goals against. I mean, the goaltending position really has changed. It's making it harder and harder. And as a member of the rules committee, we do spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to add offense to the game. This is a rules year. We'll be out in Indianapolis the first week of June. And in recent years, a lot of what we've done is to tweak the rules to help the offense. Part of our mission is to have a good balance of offense and defense, and it seems it's just increasingly harder to score goals, and we have the data to back that up.
Commissioner, I think they've been watching your instructional DVDs. You got to give it up for yourself there.
I enjoy it. It's been a hobby of mine. This will be my 43rd summer coaching goalies, and kind of peaked in the mid-'80s, late '80s when I worked for the Boston Bruins, but I've tried to stay on top of it. I work with a local high school in the Boston area still, so that I'm not just a textbook coach, but I'm getting on the ice and understanding the new techniques. I think it's still about positioning and timing and puck control, even though the techniques and the equipment have changed.
Absolutely. Now, Commissioner, you've been involved in every aspect of this game, from player to coach to journalist at one point to obviously the administration. Now, you are the Renaissance man of college hockey. How special is this game to you?
Well, it's been very, very good to me, and I appreciate the description. One way to look at it is I've been trying to avoid serious employment for my adult life, but the game has been very good to me. As I mentioned to you earlier, I actually skated this morning before coming into work, and my wife, I met my wife through hockey. She was a sports information director at Harvard. Her father played at Boston College, was a referee in the ECAC. Between social life and my employment and full-time jobs, part-time jobs. I enjoy being around hockey people. I think is probably the biggest part of it. It's a smaller community than people realize, and I think I could go into a rink in any part of not only the country but maybe in the world, and within 15 or 20 minutes you're going to strike up a conversation with somebody who's crossed paths with you, or you have common friends, and it's amazing like that. And it's a game that continues to give, and hopefully I'm giving back to make it a fair deal.
You certainly are. Hockey people are the best people. We are a different breed, undoubtedly. He is Hockey East Commissioner and newly appointed Renaissance man Joe Bertagna. Commissioner, thank you for all the time. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks. I might have to print up new business cards now with that new title. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Time for face-off with national champion with BU and former NHL defenseman Colby Cohen and former Stony Brook netminder Brendan Jones. And let's start with BC, gentlemen, where this season head coach Jerry York became the first NCAA Division I college hockey coach to win 1,000 career games. What does it mean to a player to have a coach that has had this much success? Colby, we'll start with you.
Well, Jerry York has the wins for a reason. He's put together such a great program there at BC, and they were our rivals, but I have nothing but respect for them. His players, they really generally love him. They recruit really well, and Coach York, he surrounds himself with people like Greg Brown, who's a great assistant coach. But congratulations to Coach York. That's a lot of wins to be in the same place.
Yeah, well, he's the only coach with above 1,000 wins. He's the winningest all-time coach in college hockey history, and he's just a very passionate guy. He comes into your dorm room and he grades you on your tidiness, and if you come to practice with stubble, he feels your face and he says, you better not have that tomorrow or you're not practicing. He's kind of like one of those very likable guys, and he's won 5 national titles. There's no doubt that he's one of the best hockey minds there is.
All right, note to self, when Coach Jerry York comes to visit the studio, I got to shave a little. All right, let's keep it with Boston College and talk about the Bean Pot, where BC defeated BU 1-0 in overtime to take home their 20th Bean Pot Tournament championship. Colby, what was it about this BC team that gave them the edge over your Terriers?
They come into that Beanpot tournament now expecting to win. They used to joke and call it the Jack Parker Invitational because BU won so many, but BC, they come in, they play a game with a lot of speed. The way they recruit, they want speed, they want skill, they want to score goals. Then they fill the net with a kid like Thatcher Demko, who keeps them out of danger anytime the puck comes back their way. But there is no worse feeling than losing to those guys in the Beanpot.
Jonesy, what stood out to you?
It was actually the first time in the Beanpot's history that the game ended with a 1-0 score. So that was pretty cool. And it just goes to show you that the goaltending in this league, the team defense on both these teams is really stepping up.
All right, gentlemen, let's talk about the rest of the conference outside of the top four or the bottom four. Which middle-of-the-pack team between BU, Northeastern, Merrimack, and UConn was your favorite this season and can surprise next year?
Northeastern's the obvious choice. I covered those guys in the NCAA tournament. I know their coach, Jim Madigan. At one point this year, they're talking about firing him. Then they rifle off the best second half in all of college hockey. They've got a freshman goaltender who had like 15 or 16 straight wins after starting the season winless through his first 15. So I really like Northeastern. I think they're going to be a great team next year, getting into the NCAA tournament.
Jonesy?
I loved UConn because they're so young. They had young guys, Tage Thompson, Max Latunov, Coach Kavanaugh, who was under the tutelage of Jerry York for a while at BC, has them doing all the right things. They have a goaltender coach, Andrew Raycroft, who was a stud with the Boston Bruins for a while. So there's definitely good things to come for them.
Whether we're talking netminders, forwards, or defensemen, everybody in this Hockey East Conference was great this year. All right, that's former NHL defenseman and BU national champion Colby Cohen, and he's former Stony Brook netminder Brendan Jones. Gentlemen, thank you. All right, still to come, half the Hockey East was in the NCAA tournament, and the other half fell short. We break down each team and what they brought to the table on the other side of the break. Welcome back to College Hockey Now with Brendan Jones. I'm Jorge Andres. We're recapping the year in the Hockey East, and here are the All-Americans out of the Hockey East. On the first team from BU, senior defenseman Matt Grzelcyk, defenseman Jake Wallman from Providence, forward out of New Hampshire Andrew Podorowski. On the second team, BC netminder Thatcher Demko, teammate forward for BC Ryan Fitzgerald, Providence forward Mark Jankowski, and finally BU senior forward Danny O'Regan. All right, so stars in this conference galore, but what was special about each of these individual teams, and what will we see from these teams next year? That's why we got Jonesy, Brendan Jones, our hockey analyst. And now the Hockey East sent 6 teams into the national tournament: Jonesy, BC, Providence, Notre Dame, UMass Lowell, BU, and Northeastern. So let's begin with these teams, starting with Boston College. What did you like so much about them this past season?
They all have their little intricacies, but Boston College, so much skill year in and year out. And then with Jerry York at the helm, it allows them to harness that talent and turn it into something special. These kids come from programs where they were the go-to guys, and to come to a team where everyone was at one point in their career the go-to guy, the transition can definitely be rough. But Yorkie has been real with these guys. He brings them together, and he really teaches them how to mesh. Then over to the defending national champions, the Providence Friars. Most of the season, they were actually atop the national rankings, picking up right where they left off. The big question mark was, who was going to fill the void of John Gillies in goal? And Nick Ellis answered that call from the get-go. He was fabulous all year. The Friars had tremendous leadership with guys like Tom Parisi, Mark Jankowski, like you just mentioned, and Jake Wallman, 2 of the All-Americans. Nate Lehman did another great job with them this year. On to the Irish, who finished up in 3rd place. I was very impressed with goaltender Cal Peterson this year. He was actually voted MVP by his teammates and was a Richter Award nominee for the 2nd time. Notre Dame had a really good year, but tailed off towards the end of the year, going 1-6 in their last 7, getting bounced out of the conference tourney early, and then they fell to Michigan in the regionals. Now over to UMass Lowell. The Riverhawks have consistently been contenders for a while now, and in large part due to head coach Norm Bazin and the staff over there, a very disciplined team. You watch them play, and they very rarely make glaring mistakes that cost them. Another team led by a strong goaltender in Kevin Boyle, who was the co-player of the year within the conference along with Thatcher Demko. Over to BU, the Terriers. A mix of savvy veterans and young studs. So seniors like Danny O'Regan, Matty Grzelcyk, like you mentioned, they led the charge, but newcomers in Jordan Greenway, Jacob Forsbacka Carlson, and Charlie McAvoy were vital pieces to the puzzle as well. I'm sure the guys over there aren't happy with the end result after Denver buried 7 on them in the regional, but a lot of positives this year and good things to build up for sure in the future. The Northeastern Huskies, now talk about turning your season around. The team began the season 1-11-2 and then did a complete 180, compiling 21-2-3 record down the stretch en route to that conference title. The team went over to Belfast, Ireland and really came together as a group. They started focusing on the defensive part of the game, which allowed them to be in more games, and once they got some confidence, they were able to play with some of the top teams in the country, and there was no slowing them down.
All right, so that's the top half of this conference. They were in the national tournament. Those 6 teams had a chance to reach that Frozen Four. Now, the bottom half, however, they fell just short. But of these bottom teams, what did you like about them, and who can surprise next season? Let's start with Merrimack, Jonesy.
Merrimack, they're led by a phenomenal head coach in Mark Dennehy. He's one of the most personable guys in the league. They will be, and to be 100% honest with you, all the time, and from the media, from a standpoint, he's just a great guy, but that's how he is with his players, and they really respect that. On the ice, the Warriors were young. They had 14 freshmen this year, so it took everyone a little while to adjust to the speed and Dennehy's quick and attacking style of play. Now, the Yukon Huskies, I like Coach Cavanaugh. He brings a lot of experience to the table and has learned from some of the best in the game. He was under Jerry York's tutelage for a while at BC. He got a lot of production this year from his young guns in Max Latunov and Tage Thompson. And you can't forget about the senior, Patrick Kirkland, someone Cavanaugh raves about in terms of leadership, setting the right example, so he will certainly be missed. Not a bad season for the Huskies. Over to Vermont, the Catamounts struggled with their identity earlier this year, according to head coach Kevin Sneddon. When I spoke to him, he said he wasn't displeased with his team at all. They had great team speed. They were willing to do whatever it took. They managed the puck well, but they lost a number of one-goal games that they couldn't afford to lose, which wound up being their demise when all was said and done. Now to the University of New Hampshire. You know, there was a lot of hype surrounding them before the season. The UNH squad, they had a legitimate Kobe Baker candidate and Andrew Podorowski who came back. So the buzz, was high, but then it was all about how far can Podorowski take him, and it turned out he didn't really have the supporting cast that they needed to make a deep run. And then shortly after UNH season ended, Podorowski's season didn't end. He actually signed a pro deal with the Hurricanes and will not be returning for his junior year. Over to Maine, the Black Bears had a tough go this season. They started off 0-9 and couldn't really dig themselves out of the hole. The worst part about it wasn't where they finished. The record wasn't a reflection on the year they had. They lost a lot of close games. They squeaked out a few wins, and it could have changed the entire complexion of the season. But they ended the season the same way that they started. They went 1-9 in their last 10, so not the best for them. Over to UMass, Massachusetts, the Minutemen. They found themselves toward the bottom of the conference for a few years in a row now. I will say, when we had them on our air, I thought goaltender Nick Renyard played very well and was a bright spot for them all year. Now that being said, change was needed, and it didn't take long for the school to announce that they let go head coach Don Micheletto, who will be replaced by Greg Carvel, previously the head coach at St. Lawrence.
All right, well, still to come. We've broken down the Hockey East, but enough X's and O's. How about the top plays? The ASN 8 hit center ice next. Welcome back to College Hockey Now with Brendan Jones. I'm Jorge Andres. We're recapping the Hockey East, where junior Thatcher Demko of Boston College was named the winner of the 2016 Mike Richter Award as the most outstanding goaltender in NCAA men's hockey. Demko was presented the award by Mike Richter himself in Tampa, Florida, the site of the 2016 NCAA Frozen Four. Here's the netminder on what his coach and his squad mean to him.
It's been instrumental. It starts with the coaching staff. Obviously the best coach in college hockey history, and Jerry York and Greg Brown, Mike Ayers, Marty McGinnis. They just instill a great mind, and they teach you the game at all different levels, and it's been awesome for me so far.
Jonesy, Thatcher Demko collecting some hardware this year, and for very good reason. The netminder flashing the leather all year long, but you know what? He was not the only one with jaw-dropping plays. That's why we have the ASN 8. Number 8, BC against BU, Ian McCashin. How about the slap shot goal and then the celebration? Phenomenal play there.
Nice one-timer,
right
past a low blocker, Sean McGuire. Big game, too. Over BC, BU, same game. Colin White on a breakaway. Robbed by Sean McGuire, getting a little redemption. He probably knew that he let in the ASN 8 play, so he's like, you know what? ASN 7, I'm going to make a nice save.
Number 6, BU against Michigan, Danny O'Regan. The wrister that hits the crossbar and trickles in. Are you kidding me? The power from this shot. O'Regan, one of my favorite players all season, Jonesy.
Bar down. Love it. Number 5, UMass Lowell. CJ Smith to Adam Chappie. I just love this. Look how hard he passed that puck. And then for Chappie to one-time that, phenomenal.
4, BU, BC, JFK. Forced Bucket Carlson falls, but still finds Ati Oxenen for the goal. JFK was phenomenal all year long, not to mention best name in hockey.
Number 3, Travis Blonley, wide open in front. Tanner Creel, no sir, you may not. Absolutely robs him. Glove save.
And number 2, Andrew Podorowski, UNH against BU. 2 great moves. And then Podorowski finding Mike McNicholas for the goal there. You got to appreciate that fancy skating by Podorowski.
Precision pass. And then look at number 1, Mark Jankowski, popping bottles where Mama hides the cookie. Let's see this one more time. Watch the bottle on top of the net because it's on the ice.
Yeah, that's when you know you got a good shot, right?
Absolutely.
That's your ASN 8, a fantastic year for the Hockey East. Final thought from this conference this past season for you, Judge.
They're just studs, and they continue to be studs. All these programs, well run.
Look out for UConn. I think UConn's going to turn things around and be a surprise next year. That's going to do it for us, for our producer, Tori McMahon, Brendan Jones. I'm Jorge Andres. Hey, follow us on Twitter as well, @live on ASN. We'll see you next time.